Hello, I'm John Kosmoski, founder of House of Color. I've been in the custom painting business since 1956, but nothing as exciting as Shimrin2 has ever come down the pike. I'm talking to you jobbers and countermen about making some real money in the custom painting business, reducing your inventories, and having thousands of color combinations. And when our color card is available to you, you'll be able to go online, and there's a retrieval with formulas, so it's easy to mix and build, and there's never been more profit in the custom painting business than there is now with this new system. And guess what? It's all solvent based, and it beats waterborne in the VOC category. So this is something you need to take a look at because it's going to open doors. There's never been more excitement in the custom painting world than this new system, because it allows unbelievable creativity for the painter himself, and I'm so excited about it, I know you will be too. I know one of the most important things to you jobbers is your inventory. That's what this system is all about. We're talking about 19 highly transparent organic toners with 40 effect packs that will build thousands of combinations. We have a color wall for display in your store with a light on it. People are going to come and see that. They're going to want to know what it's all about. You're going to be right there to mix anywhere from an ounce to a gallon of whatever they need at a high profit value. We've got a color card, which of course is going to expand into thousands of color combinations. These painters are going to have more fun, and your profits are going to be there. Reduced inventory, higher turn in the objects that you're selling, and that's what it's all about to you, the jobbers. You guys want to make some money doing this and have some fun and create some customer base that wasn't there before. One of the most asked questions is the Shimrin2 compatible with the Shimrin1? Absolutely compatible. It's the way to go. Don't worry about your stock on the shelves. It works beautiful together. They're a team. If you jobbers have floor space and you want something that's really going to draw attention to the new Shimrin2 system, take a look at our mixing bank. I mean, it's not a requirement, but it is a thing of beauty that will really draw customers over there. They're going to want to know what this is all about. And it's going to get you to be able to put a brochure in their hand and send them down the road and get them excited and interested about this system. I know you jobbers and countermen alike have concerns about the old colors that we had created many years ago. The pearl base coats, the candy base coats. Those are called classics now in our minds, and we're going to have complete formulas for you to be able to build all those colors that we made such a great history with. So they're going to be available to you. You go online, check out the formulas. You'll be able to build everything that we've had. So don't worry about the loss of the Shimrin. They're not lost at all. They're recreated in a brand new, environmentally correct system. Jobbers and countermen, one of the most exciting things to come down in a long time is our new KD 3000 series primer. I mean, let's face it, the Shimrin2 is great stuff, but how good is any paint without the best foundation you can put under it? How about a hybrid primer that has all the characteristics of epoxy and yet the fast dry and easy sanding capabilities of an acrylic urethane? That's what we've done here. This is breakthrough technology, and the most fun thing about it is how it works. If you mix it 4 parts of primer to 1 part catalyst, it's an extremely high build primer. I mean, 2 or 3 coats are all you need. It's got the additive in it that prevents benzoyl peroxide or plastic filler bleed through. And if you need a medium build primer, you add 1 cup of reducer to that mix. Now you've got a medium build. It goes on like silk, even in the thick form. You can't believe it. There's no residue, there's no lumps, there's no seeds and stuff that you have to go over. And since when has there been a direct to substrate primer that you can put over bare metal sand-throughs? This stuff is direct to metal. If you've got bare metal sand-throughs, you mix it 4 parts of primer, 2 parts reducer, 1 part of the catalyst, and wham, man, you have got a silky colored, and look at this. Look at the color combinations with our 6 basic colors. You can mix all of this. And I mean, of course, it goes on and on, as you can see by the smaller, how many different colors you can mix. Do you know how much time that saves the painter? When that sealer is near the color base that he's working with, color matches become easier, less coats are required. It makes money for the painter, it makes money for you, the jobber, because it's one of the finest primers that I've seen in decades. I want to share with you jobbers and countermen the key elements of using the primer color card. You basically need 2 cards in order to properly read the proper formula for each mix so no mistakes are made. This is how the shade cards are read. If I want to mix this particular color, it's 3 over on this line. This is the formulation for this color. If I want to mix this color, it's down to this line, so you need 2 of these shade cards pinned on the wall so that you get the proper formulation. This is variations of these formulas to just show how many more colors can be created by doing the intermixing. It's a very creative system and it's so much fun. This matches most of the base colors that you'll find in the field, and it just makes the coverage easier, as we said before. No mistakes are made. Having 2 forms laid out like this, it makes it very simple and easy to read. One of the most unique tools to come down the pike for the custom painter is the Super Silver Sealer. This stuff is amazing. Beautiful, fast coverage, puts a silver base down so you get fast coverage on your silver base if you put over the top of that. Great base coat for candies. It can be used as a base. I prefer to see you use the one of our beautiful silvers in the Cosmetic line, but basically this is great stuff, and it's catalyzed with the KU152. It's a 6-to-1 ratio. It covers very quickly, goes on evenly, and you can tint it with a candy concentrate to make it near a color you're trying to make. If you want to use it for a base coat for a candy, you can use a candy concentrate. What I do on my hot rods is I'll put the silver sealer on the bottom of the fenders, and I'll buy a bed liner system that's a neutral bed liner. I'll add candy concentrate to that, and I'll put a candy on the bottom of my fenders. And it's so durable you can't even scratch it. So a lot of real innovative uses for this silver sealer. It goes on beautifully smooth, dries very quickly. You're painting within 30 minutes. It's great stuff. You're just going to love it. Jobbers and countermen, you need to understand the KU152 is the only catalyst that can be used in the silver sealer. Many errors are made by countermen telling them they can use KU100 or KU150. It will not dry. Please don't make that mistake. KU152 with the silver sealer is the only one that works. Jobbers and countermen need to know, with the reduced VOCs that are being called for, that we are compliant throughout the United States. And in California's strictest market, we offer a couple of specialized reducers, 300 being the fast and 301 being slow. They're highly designed just to work in that market and meet those VOCs. Speed is another thing that's very important to understand with this new system. It's actually faster than the old Shimrin system. The important thing to understand is that you actually may need a slightly slower reducer than you did before because they are so fast. But speed is definitely there. You'll get more work done in less time with the new Shimrin2 system. What you jobber and countermen need to understand is how the carrier bases and the effect packs work. As we've told you before, we offer these in 19 different colors, and they're absolutely beautiful. They're designed to be mixed with the carrier bases at a 3-to-1 ratio. But we also offer a clear called Transnebuli, which is basically the new resin system that's very much like the old SG150. It has a carrier palmer that locks around each platelet of pearl or metallic or whatever you put in it and stops it from settling out, and it also orients it when it's sprayed so that they lock themselves in place so when they're top coated the materials don't move. Let's talk about some of those effect packs that we're so excited about. The first one we're going to discuss is the metal loom, and metal loom should be thought of as silver metallics. We offer them in a very fine grade. We offer them in a medium grade. We offer them in a very coarse grade. And we have a very, very exciting super silver, which you need to look at to believe. It's a very fine micron, smaller than a pearl, but in the sun it sparkles unbelievable. Really one that you want to take a look at. So let's talk about one of our other carrier bases, which is the Cosmetic. The Cosmetic are pearlescent. They're the old style pearls. They're beautiful pearls, and boy, do they impact the coating. You can have so much fun with these, mixing them in, using them by themselves in the transnebulae. But don't put too much in. The problem with putting too much in is you can't control it when you spray it. So it requires much less when you're putting it into a clear with a polymer carrier in it. So you'll experiment with those, and we do have formulas that show you exactly how to do it. The next one is the Cosmetic styling pearls. I said that wrong, but the Cosmetic styling pearls are brand new technology. They impact the color so heavy that it doesn't take very much to get the look that you want. They don't have a lot of patina or sparkle in the sun, but they impact the color immensely. You'll have tons of fun. I like to mix these with the Cosmic Sparks to get that patina. We're going to talk about those when we get to them. The Metajewels, I don't think I need to say more. They give you the flake look without the work. And we've got them in more colors than we've ever had. There's 6 colors of the Metajewels. Be careful how you mix them. Take a close look at the mixing ratios and the formulas that we have online. You're going to enjoy them because in the sun they come across like a 1/64th flake. So you get that immense flash in the sun without the work of the old style flakes. Now we move on to the Chameleons, and I don't think I have to explain the color change Chameleons. You know what I've been doing? I'll take and add some of those to a little bit of the toners that we're working with, and you can get that slight shift of color when you mix them with some of the other additives. It's great fun and tremendous creativity for the painter to get out there and get his feet wet playing with this stuff. And you don't need to use a lot of it, so the cost stays down. You know, it costs a little bit to buy the 8-ounce container, but the point is you can get some tremendous mileage out of it, paying close attention to how you add it. And then last but not least is the Cosmic Sparks. These are the most brilliant thing to ever happen in pearls. Nothing puts a patina in your finish like working with the Sparks. They're tremendous. I like to mix them with the Cosmetic styling pearls, and you get combinations that'll knock your socks off. And that's just mixing these colors together. What about taking some of our toners, our basic mixing materials, or we call them carrier bases, and mixing the carrier bases together? Well, then you start going way out there on all the combinations that you can come up with. It's totally amazing the places that the painters are going to be able to go now that they never could go before. They can build formulas that they can keep secret, that only they will have the method that they use to mix it, and it's theirs alone. And so the cost is down considering on the way these things are done. The mileage with this product, based on using the colored primers, makes things happen easier than they ever have for the painter. And you, the jobber, it's simple. You just push these cans across the counter and let these guys do their creativity on their own. Again, we have pre-done formulas that they can go by for averages, but this whole thing is about creativity. You counter guys working at the jobber stores can tell your customers that the standard mixing ratio from the carrier base coat to the effect pack is 3:1. But that doesn't mean I couldn't put 4 ounces of this material, the metal loom, into a mix and put 3 ounces of Cosmetic into the mix, or 4 ounces, and have my 8 ounces. The main thing to remember is it's 3 parts of the carrier base to 1 part of the effect pack. Now that doesn't mean I couldn't use 2 ounces of each one of these to get my 8 ounces, but you need to know the painter has to have the creativity to make sure he's mixing components that will go together and give him the effect that he wants. So that's part of the creativity factors. 3:1 is what you need to remember, and then reduce them like our standard old Shimrin bases. The Shimrin2s, once they're mixed, are reduced 2:1 with the reducer based on the temperature in the shop that's going to give you controllability. I want the jobbers, and particularly you counter guys out there, to pay attention to the mixing ratios on the transnebulae or the S2 SG100, which is the new version of completely clear SG100. This has a cloudy effect to it, and that's caused by the encapsulation polymer that orients the materials. Now, I like to pre-reduce this 2 to 1. In other words, 2 parts of the transnebulae to 1 part reducer, and then slowly add the effect pack and stir it, and look at the stir stick. And if you see the platelets dancing down the bottom, that's good. If you see them running down in a cloudy draw, you may have put too much in, and it's going to be difficult for the painter to apply it and make it work. In other words, it's going to want a blotch, it's going to want a streak, he's going to get some issues there, and he's going to come back in your face. Let them know that we do have the ratios in the book that give you the basic startup mixing formulas for the transnebulae or for the S2 SG100, so they don't overdo it. Most painters tend to put in too much of this material when they're spraying a clear over a contrasting base. Now understand, you can put more in when the base is light, like as a white or a gray base. When you're putting it over black, you have to pull back and not have quite so much in there. The painters will figure it out, and it is in the book, but I want you counter guys to understand the principles of putting this material into a clear, and that's the way it works. Well, we've been kind of dazzling you with a lot of information. I think it's time to get our stuff into a mixing situation. Let's go over to the color wall and pick a color and actually mix it in front of you and show you how simple it is. This is the color wall that we've talked about. Look at all the beautiful, exciting colors, and these are all base coats. There's no candies involved here. This is all done with our carrier base coats and our additive packs. Let's pick a color that's going to work for us. How about a nice blue, a nice metallic-y blue? Look at that. That's a beautiful color. Now you're wondering how to make it. On the back side, there's our formula. Exactly what we need to mix that color. One of the things that you jobbers and counter people are going to enjoy is once you pull one of these little cars off the rack, on the back side of it is the primer that was used, the carrier base coat that was used, and the effects pack that was used to make this color. And what we're showing back here is the 3000 KD 3000 primer over S204 over S2 FX03. So let's see if we can match this car using that formula. Let's take some of this. We also make mixing containers. This one shows graduations up to 11 ounces, and this one shows graduations up to 64 ounces, but they will have obviously carry more material if you need to mix a little bit more than what they're showing. All the ratios are shown on the can. And we know we're going to do a 3 to 1, so that's the first thing we're going to do is set this down, and we're going to go to a 3 with our toner. Now the most important thing to remember on the carrier base coats is that you stir them well prior to use. And the effects pack being a concentrate, I think it's extremely important that you either take the lid off and stir it somewhat or shake it extremely well and long time. If you have a shaker, it's great. So let's take and see if we can mix that color. This has already been pre-stirred. So we're going to get to the 3 on the lower end. We don't need to mix a whole lot of color to show you that this system is going to work. There we're on the 3 mark. Now by hitting the next 3 mark with this material, we should accurately mix this color. I hate these little tabs, but you have to have them to keep them child-proof. All right, now we go up to the next 3 with our effects pack, and let's stir this and see how close we come to the color that we're showing. Doesn't take much stirring to see that here comes the color. And it's a dead match. Of course, it's hard to tell from stirred paint versus sprayed paint, but you can see we're in the ballpark, and we have created this color. Now the only thing necessary to spray this is to reduce it 2 to 1. 2 parts of base to 1 part reducer. And again, pick the reducer that's best suited for the temperature in that shop, because that's the key item. But now we go ahead and spray this, and we have created one of the new base colors, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And just think about this, we could build this 150 different ways by changing an effects pack. How easy is that? Another point I'd like to make to you jobber and countermen is that we did show the KD 3000 primer used on that panel that we painted, if you remember that, and that's this gray right here. But there's no reason not to use a blue, a darker color, you know, to get and what we do a lot of times is we'll take some of that paint and spray it over this card. This particular type of cardboard is resistant to spray. You can spray on it, it's not going to wrinkle up, it's not going to delaminate, it's made as a shade card. And this can be kept with information written on the back of what you did, and you can literally show this to your customers and say, well look, this is the combination we get when we go over the lighter shade, but what about this if we go over a darker blue or we go over a lighter blue? How much of a change are we going to get? You will now know that by using this card, and I do it all the time, particularly when I'm working with transnebulae and some of the clearer colors, or when I want to do a pearl check to see if it's going to model or blotch. This is a great way to do it before you get out on the job. Make sure everything looks like it's working right. Always have a bright light nearby so that you can light the thing up and study what you're doing. But it's a great tool, and you will enjoy working with this. I recommend that if you're dealing with some custom painters, that they buy these by the block. They're sold 25 to a pack, and that's the way to do it, because you're going to want them in your shop for doing this testing. And remember, don't throw them away. If you write on the back of what you did, this is an additional color card for you to use to your customers for selling paints. And that's what it's about. For those of you that are looking for more variations, the computer savvy people, go online and look at our quick mix, and you can bring up thousands of variations of each color with a different effects pack, and it really does help you guys so you don't make mistakes mixing things, but thousands of combinations are on that unit. Check it out. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to make things a lot easier for the jobber store people and you counter people as well. You jobbers and countermen need to know that the candy base coats are much easier to spray and work with than the standard candies. And it's a great beginning place for a painter that wants to get involved in custom and doesn't have a lot of experience. Well, how much better does it get than to have one that's VOC compliant? Even in Southern California, in the strictest market, using our specialized reducers. And it's simple, really. You take the transnebulae and you add a little bit of candy concentrate to it, and we do have the formulations. They're all listed in our tech manual and online. And then you add a small amount of the effect pack to give it that base. And you need about 4 coats. I prefer a darker base when you're working with the candy base coats because it gives that depth. You're looking through all of the pearl and the candy translucency down to that black base. It gives the illusion of tremendous depth and super easy to use, and one of the most easy candies to touch up, and yet you get that candy look. I did one years ago on a 34 Ford 4-door, and it's still winning candy awards. People don't even know the difference between the straight candy and the candy base coat. But what a learning tool to bring a painter on to get him excited about trying the true candies. We talked about the candy base coats, but let's mix one and really show how it works. You know, the most important thing for you, the jobber store, to remember and to put through to the painter is do not add too much of the effects pack because it can tend to surface the candy base coat. So what we're looking for is 8 parts of the transnebulae, which again is our clear base coat with the carrier in it. Then we're going to add 1 part of our candy concentrate, which is going to give it the color. And then we're going to add 1/8 on the ratio side of our effects pack. Now it's very important to choose the right effects pack because certain effects packs are not going to work with certain candy colors. And so the best way to experiment with that is on a can lid. Put a drop of transnebulae down with a drop of the candy concentrate, and then add a small amount of the effect pack that you think you want to use, and smear it around and look at it under a light to see if that's the direction that the painter wants. That way you're not wasting material, so that's important. Let's mix right now. Let's take some of the transnebulae, and we're going to put some of that into our mixing cup. We do have a ratio on the cup right here where it shows the 8 parts to 1 part to a half part or to an eighth of a part. So we're going to go to the first line. There we go. Now we're going to add some candy concentrate to bring some color to this. And in this case, we're using KK11, which is our newest formula of candy red. It's absolutely beautiful. Doesn't need very much to make that 1 part. Let's take a look at that before we do any additive. Takes a little bit to get it mixed in, but look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, look at the colorant that we've got. I mean, that is a beautiful candy by itself. We've done our 8-to-1 mix with our colorant. Now it's time to bring in the effects pack. We've chosen FX32 Red Pearl, and that's a good color for apple red, actually. Take the lid off, and I would normally measure this if I was doing it for a customer, but you don't need very much. Take a look at how much we're putting in. Very, very little for the amount that we're mixing. Now let's stir this and just look at what happens to that. Look at how it picks up a whole new look. And this is, you don't want a lot in there because it's floating around in the candy, but when you put it on a dark base, let me tell you folks, this is exciting. Now we are working on a color card that's going to show the candy base coats with a bunch of different effects packs, so you don't have to do a lot of experimenting. We've already done it for you. But this is neat stuff, and what a training method. Now let's do some more, just for drill, and see what happens if we can wash this out to show you the effects of putting too much in. Now we've added some more. Let's stir it again. It starts to become a base coat when too much is added. You can already see that some of the transparency is lost. So how critical is that? It's extremely critical. But it's still got a good look to it. I don't think I've gone overboard. And that was quite a bit of additional adding. So you can see there's some latitude there, but the fun and the things that you can get with this, it's amazing. And they make some very, very beautiful, rich looking colors that look very unusual. And painters are going to love them because it's so easy to do. But remember, the darker base gives you the depth. And that's what you want to remember. So you jobbers are going to have a ball turning people on to this stuff. And they're going to have so much fun bringing stuff around and showing you, hey, look what I just did out there. Come on out in the parking lot and look what I just did, man. And that's what it's all about. Well, you jobbers and countermen are going to be excited as I am about the new UKK01. In California, they consider candy coats a mid-coat because they're applied over the base under the clear. Consequently, it has to meet a new VOC. We've developed that system and it's unbelievable. There's no sensitivity in between coats. You can take your time, go to lunch if you need to. You don't have to worry about it like we did. I've never ever wanted to candy a frame because the intricacies in an old Ford frame, trying to get around all those things and do it right in a candy paint job. When this material hit the streets, I candied my first old Ford frame, candy pagan gold, under my candy red car. And is that a hit when people look under the car and see that beautiful candy pagan gold? It's all done by mixing the candy concentrates according to our formulas online and in our tech manuals. You add it to the candy, you mix it 4-to-1 or 4-to-1-to-2, depending on wanting a lighter solids. Many painters like to begin with the 4-to-1-to-2 parts of reducer because it gives them a thinner coating to start the candy paint job. And then as they finish the job, they go 4-to-1-to-1 with reducer and catalyst. Using only the KU152 catalyst, the only one you want to use in this system. But is it great? And does it make a candy painter out of people that had trouble before? Absolutely. Because being a lower solid, it's easier to handle, and it makes candy painting easier than it's ever been. And it meets the most stringent VOC in Southern California using our specialized reducer. In other parts of the country, all of our other reducers work equally well. But you talk about a deep, rich-looking candy job, there's nothing that beats a true candy. And using this new material, with the extended flow times and the beautiful gloss, of course, our new clear, and we're going to talk about that later, is the piece de resistance for any custom paint job. But we will get to that. So remember, the UKK01 is a new system. We are going to go to factory pack eventually. We're working on that so that you don't have to mix it. It'll come off the shelf, and it's just up to you to catalyze and reduce. So that's coming, but it's great stuff, and the painters are not going to have to worry about taking extra time, the painting. Just allow flash time between coats. We prefer 10 minutes, but depending on your dry time and your choice of reducer, that all enters into it, but easier than ever before. We talked about the UKK01. Now let's mix some up and show you how it's done and how easy it is. Our ratio is 4:1:1, and you can go extra reducer to make it a little less solids on your beginning coats to make the painting a little bit easier. So let's turn that cup around so I can see it and go ahead and mix some up right now. Now that we've got that part, let's get down to the nitty-gritty and mix some of this material. So we open the can. We're going to use the UKK01. We're going to go to the lowest ratio here on the 4:1:1. So we're just going to pour that till it hits that level. And what I like to do next, there's really no set timing on when to put the catalyst in, but I like to get that over with right away so it's not forgotten. Believe me, this stuff will not dry without the KU152, and use no other. KU152 is exclusive to this product along with a bunch of our other products. Now that we've got that done, we're going to add reducer, and use the reducer best suited for your shop temperatures. And I'm just going to the 4:1:1, which is the higher solid version of mixing this material. Now we're going to add the UKK, which is the candy red. The apple red is one of my favorites, absolutely beautiful. Let's put a little in and just look at it with just a little in. We'll stir this in. Now spend a couple of minutes stirring because it takes a while for the colorant to enter the resin. Now that we've done that, pull the stick up and look at it. You can see how weak that is. You want to do your mixing after it's catalyzed and after it's reduced, so we call it a sprayable quart. And what we generally recommend is 2 to 4 ounces, and I like to stay on the high side of that because we want the strength. We have excess amounts of UV absorber in this material to help filter the rays of the sun. Very few other companies put that much UV in. We're going to keep adding it until I like what I see. I want to have some nice strength, and you need a steel stir stick. Don't try to do this with a wooden stir stick. Go out and get yourself some of the stirrers that they use in the kitchens for baking and making things, and get yourself a good one with a wooden handle and respect it. Keep it clean. Now that's getting pretty nice. I might add just a touch more, but it's doggone good. The most important thing that you got to remember is to put enough coats on. So many guys will stop painting and say, well, yeah, I quit at 3 coats. And I say, why did you quit at 3 coats? I like the color. Well, then it fades out, and I say to them, do you like the color now? The point is, put enough coats on, and we do recommend at least 5 to 6 coats. And now you could over-reduce this for your beginning coats with another part reducer. In other words, 4 parts of the resin, 1 part of the catalyst, 2 parts of reducer, and then add your colorant. So you're going to have a richer colorant, and it's going to be a little bit thinner, but make sure you put enough on to get the life. The sun's rays come down, they go through our clear, which is 4.4% UV absorber. It goes into the candy, which also has a high part, way over the normal of UV absorber, and then it's reflected back out based on the color of the base. So the lighter the base, the more important it is to get enough candy on. But as you can see how easy this is, we are working on factory packaged candies, and you'll be seeing those in the future. But you can see how simple it is and how much fun it is to paint with this new material. It's going to make candy painting easier than it ever has been. So good luck with it. Your painters are going to love it. Jobbers, countermen, one of the most exciting things about our new system, the Shimrin2, is our brand new clear. This clear has the highest gloss. It flows out like glass. It's 44% solids ready to spray. It's an amazing product. It's actually one of the best clears we have ever made. I'm so excited about it. The gloss is 94, 95 unrubbed. I mean, that's unheard of in the refinish industry. It's catalyzed 3 to 1 to 1 with the new KU 152. And make sure you understand that you cannot use the KU 100 or 150 in this product. It must have the KU 152. As before, our standard reducer systems work. In Southern California, it would be the 300 or the 301 reducer to meet the excessive VOCs that's required there. Now, how important is this clear? This clear also has 4.4% UV absorber. That is probably 3 times plus more than any other clear made. How important is that for longevity? It's number one. When we get a call and someone tells us the candy job or the pearl job is discoloring, the first question we ask is what clear was used. Invariably, it's the clear they had on the shelf. They didn't want to buy an extra clear and put it on the line. For custom painting, this is mandatory. This is the most important part of the job because it filters out those rays of the sun and makes that job last 5 times longer, 6 times longer than any other clear would ever preserve it. So I think it's the most important ending to every quality paint job. And it bills like crazy. It flows like crazy. It's the easiest clear to buff we have ever made. I don't care if you wait a month to buff it. It cuts and buffs. There is no time limit. You could do it tomorrow. It'll be a hockey puck, just like our UKK01 that we mixed earlier. Look at this sitting overnight. That's exactly what happens to this clear. It's not one that you can pour the next day. That's telling you the hardness is quick, the flow out is amazing. It's so important. Please make sure that your customers, when they go to House of Color, that they stick with our system and use our clear. Let's mix some up and show you just how easy it is. Okay, we're at the mixing bench, and now we're going to go ahead and mix this up so you can see how simple this is to do. I'd like you to take a look at the cup, and what I've done is taken a felt tip marker and made lines on either side of the 3 to 1 to 1 column. And the reason I do that every time is because I have made mistakes. When you look away, you come back, and you wind up looking at the wrong mixture levels, and then you make a mistake, and you can't understand why the job's not drying or why something went wrong because the ratio got changed. All right, so we're going to mix the minimum amount here. So we're going to go up to level 5 with the clear. And be accurate as you possibly can, humanly possible. And then we're going to take some of the KU 152. And again, remember, this is the only catalyst that works in this unit. So now we're going up to the next mark, which gives us our catalyst loading of 3 to 1. And then we bring in the reducer, which will finalize the mix, and then we'll stir it carefully. Now again, use the reducer that's best suited for your air temperature in your booth. I like to get the fan running for 5 minutes and then look at the temperature gauge in the booth so you use the right reducer to get the proper flow. Now we bring the reducer in up to the next line, and we've got it mixed. And one of the fun things about this clear that you're going to really be impressed with is tomorrow morning, this clear, whatever you had left over, is going to be a hockey puck. I mean, it's not pourable the next day like many companies' clears are. In other words, we build a hardening factor in there that gets this stuff ready. You could literally polish it the next day. I don't like to polish it right the next day. I like to give it an extra 24-hour dry time, and the reason for that is to make sure that it's thoroughly cured and dried down before you bring in the polisher setup. This is now ready to be strained and put in your gun. How many coats do we like? We like a bond coat first, which is like a tack coat. Painters call it a tack coat. Make sure you bring the gun in close to put your tack coat on so that you're using the small platelets. You're not creating an orange peel effect right from the beginning. Give that a 5-minute set on your timing. Put a timer on your paint bench so you've got some kind of an idea how long you're waiting. We like to see a minimum of 8 to 15-minute wait between coats, so you're letting the solvents get out before the next coat goes on. The rule is it should be sticky and not string up on your finger. Some say hand slick, which means you can glance a hand over it and it doesn't feel like it's tacky or sticky, but I feel that the touch test is as good as anything. Then we put on a full wet coat and set your timer again for 10 minutes. Go in and check it. If it looks good all the way around the car, come in and put your next heavy coat on, 50% pattern overlap, and then you're done for the first day. I really like to color sand the next day and then over reduce a little bit and put on a bond and 2 more coats with extra reducer, and that gives you that perfect, I call it the perfectionist method. So this clear is dynamite. You are going to love it. You've never seen anything like it. Brand new technology. Give it a go. Another very cool product, which I call the workhorse for the custom painter, is the new S2 SG100, which is the Shimrin2 version of the SG100. How important is it and how nice is it? It's beautiful stuff. And I'm telling you what, if you put a sealer down and it's starting to run out of time and you're worried about it, you can't get to the painting right away, you can put a couple of coats of the SG100 on it, and now it can sit for a month, it can sit for a week, it can sit for the rest of the day, and all you've got to do is come in and lightly scuff it, either with a scuff pad or some fine sandpaper, and now you're ready to go with whatever your design choice was. It's a medium to low solid clear. It mixes the same as the old system. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts of the SG100 to 1 part of reducer. But like the old SG100, you can still double the reduction in it and use it for mixing pearls and doing candies by putting candy in it. Anytime you're using it as a carrier for another additive, we recommend the 1-to-1 reduction. So this is common. This is the same system that we've always had, except this one is environmentally solid and correct for the United States and Canada. And using the specialized reducers, you can use it in Southern California and no catalyst is required. So is it an upgrade? Big time. And how important is it? You need it in your shop. We offer it in gallons, we offer it in quarts, and it's simply reduced. Let's go ahead and mix some up so you can see just how easy it works. We're going to mix up some of this material now so you guys get an idea how simple it is to mix. We need to talk about a couple of things that we see used in error, and that is many people consider the SG100 as a build-up clear. Understand, when it's mixed 2-to-1, you can only put on about 4 coats. And if you double the reduction and you go 1-to-1, like you're using it with an additive or a candy concentrate or a pearlescent, you can bring those coats up to 6 or 7 coats. But understand, do not use it as a build-up clear. It's not designed for that. It doesn't have catalyst in it, and so that's the important thing that you need to remember. Simple to mix, 2-to-1 ratio, and as you can see, I've marked the mixing cup so no mistakes are made. Simply pour into the first mark, right there, and then bring on the reducer, and in this case, I'm using the California compliant reducer so that it comes into the VOCs in the strictest market in refinish in the United States, and that be Southern California. But that's where this would mainly be used. We make this reducer in 2 speeds, the 301 being slow, the 300 being fast. Bring on the stir stick, stir this together, and look at the viscosity. Look at how the thickness that you've got here. This is a nice clear for doing lots of things. Now, as we said earlier, you can use it over a sealer if it's getting close to its window, because if a sealer gets too dry, it's not going to be receptive. You know, the sealer lays there and begs for the top coats to a certain point. After it gets hardened, it closes that door, and anything you put on it's going to delam. So don't let those sealers go more. I like an hour as the final edge. And most times I'm coming in 30 minutes and I'm putting down my color, whatever it might be, my base coats. So keep that in mind. If a customer has a problem, chances are he's let the sealer go too long, and this is a big issue. So also for tape outs and protection over any other base, the SG100 is constantly used so that you're not pulling off pearl or metallic when you're doing your tape outs. We like a couple coats of this on and let it sit for 30 minutes. If you let each coat dry and vape its solvents, there should be no tape marks after 30 minutes. Now, obviously, weather can change that. The speed of the reducer can change that, and that's up to you, the painter, or, you know, if we're talking to the counter guys, you guys have to explain to the painter how this stuff works. But it's simple. It's common sense thinking. Let each coat flash its solvent before the next coat goes on. Otherwise, you're trapping solvent. We ran a test in the lab, 3 coats back to back, and then 5-minute wait between the next 3 coats on each pass, and we found that we had tape marks in 30 minutes. We had tape marks on the one we didn't wait. It went out to 4 hours and still had tape marks. The one where we allowed that time between each coat to let it flash, no tape marks in 30 minutes. So understand, you're not going faster when you're not allowing those solvents out of the film, and that's true of all of our coatings. Follow those times between coats. Let the solvent step out. Remember, everything we paint today is liquid plastic. And if you think of it that way, as a sheet of saran wrap going out over an object, you need to let those solvents out before you put the next coat of plastic over it. Common sense thinking. Explain to the painters when they buy the material, follow the rules. Well, I hope you had some fun seeing how these products work. I'm excited. I know your customers are going to be excited. And the name of that game is to sell paint. If you have questions that need answering, get on our website. We answer many, many questions regarding this line. Or if it gets more serious than that, feel free to call our tech department. We'll help you any way we can. Well, I'm John Kosmoski saying thanks very much for spending time with me and watching this video. It's appreciated.